For every distressing revelation with a hashtag of Me Too, there's a pretense overturned and a lesson about power. That's what makes the 18th century operas created by Mozart and Da Ponte so contemporary. Their last collaboration, Così, tutte, will be performed locally February 8th through 10th by the Boston Conservatory at Berklee. To tell us about the production, the Conservatory's Director of Opera Studies, Johnathon, Pape, and one of the cast members, Michaela, Wolz. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you.
I want to start with Johnathon. Superficially, very superficially, this is an opera about boyfriend and girlfriend swapping. So what's so contemporary here?
Well, I think it has a lot to do about gender roles. Certainly the 18th century's attitude towards women and what they were allowed to do and what men were allowed to do were very different. We've taken a slightly more contemporary take on the opera and have worked with providing agency to the female characters, which doesn't necessarily exist. But Despina, the maid, who is the one female character that has some agency, is very in the know about sex and love and relationships between men and women and what to expect. And by allowing her to overhear a conversation between Don Alfonso and Ferrando and Guglielmo, the two boys, she is able to turn the tables on them in a certain way. So we've taken a slightly more modern approach to it without changing the text, without changing the music of Mozart. And it's, I think, worked pretty well. I think it's been very fun for the performers to look at different ways of approaching these roles.
Coming to Michaela, what about your sense? What do you think makes this seem so contemporary now, this opera?
Well, what Johnathon was saying with changing the ending, we were all interested in how we were going to present this work, especially with like the Me Too movement, like you were saying, with the men undermining the women always. So it was cool that we kind of brought the women into the know and like switched it all around, which was, it's proven to be pretty cool with the ending. And I think that the show is showing that off really well.
Well, I'm going to give away something about the beginning because these are two men who get some advice from an older, cynical fellow. He says, if you want to see if your girlfriends are really faithful, why don't you disappear and come back in disguise and see if they're still faithful to the people they thought were their boyfriends, right? Yeah. and of course, you know, you're Dorabella, you're heartbroken that your boyfriend has gone off to war, and Despina upstages you. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, we burst into Despina and we're like, our boyfriends are leaving, we're heartbroken, we don't know what to do. And she sits us up and she says, you know what? This is an opportunity. Like, you should, I don't know, explore all these things that, I mean, Dorabella and Fiordiligi, the other sister, we don't know much about before this. So she really helps us learn about love and, I mean, sex, or just like exploring our needs and our wants in this.
Johnathon, how do you coach this in the production? Because, you know, on one hand, you look at this, you know, maybe Dorabella thinks she's really heartbroken, but, you know, I'm listening to this and saying, oh, this is exaggerated. I mean, Mozart's making fun of her.
In a way, yes. And I think the women grow through the course of the show, that they learn more about love, about relationships, about themselves, and particularly with the take that we're doing on the show, I think it gives them a different outlook on who they are as people and what their needs are. Dorabella's aria in the first act is way over the top in terms of the drama of this loss of her boyfriend. And later, she becomes much more grounded in what is real and what isn't, and what her needs are and what her desires are, just as Fiordiligi does.
And Michaela, talking about being grounded, this sets up your other you know, big showpiece, Love is a Thief, Amore e Ladroncello. And this sounds like it's just a carefree, and almost like we're off to the hunt here, you know, having a wonderful time.
Yeah.
It's totally different from the first aria, which is like a not necessarily a rage aria, but she's going through all these big emotions. And then by the end of the opera, which is really funny because my first aria is the first aria of the entire show, and then my last aria is the last aria of the entire show. And it's she comes in and she's in love, and she's found these new emotions, these feelings, and she wants to share that with her sister, who is still grappling with, like, should I be faithful to my lover who's away, or this new man who's come into my life? So it's kind of poking fun at her sister to get her to loosen up a little bit.
In the spirit of this opera, I got to quiz you. Which of these two arias did you like to sing the most?
I like to sing Zmanie more, the first aria, just because it's so over the top and I can fling myself around, and yeah, as you'll see in the opera, it's pretty extreme, but it's really fun.
That's very fun.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Johnathon Pape and Michaela Wolz from the Boston Conservatory at Berklee. Johnathon, one of the other things that some of our viewers might not be up to yet, you have a fairly new hall where this is going to be performed, at least in the Boston dates?
It's really at the Conservatory Theater, which has been renovated and was renovated, it was opened about 7 years ago. And it was the old theater that was there, but was completely refurbished. And it's a beautiful space. It's a great space for young singers to perform in, and really gives us a wonderful opportunity to be in that kind of a size hall.
Michaela, what's this like being in the performance? Because one of the things about this opera, and a lot of operas by Mozart certainly, is that it's not you get a chance to sing one song and stop everything else. You have to interact with a lot of people at the same time.
Yeah, this show is definitely an ensemble piece. Like, there's no lead role, really. We all work with each other and create this very interesting story. But yeah, it's been really fun. We have a great cast.
Another thing, Jonathan, about the words here, I know they might be sung in Italian, I guess,
yes.
as they were originally written, but you know, these are very snappy lyrics. I mean, it's just so much fun.
It's very fun. I mean, they were such a great writing team, and worked so well with each other, Da Ponte and Mozart, and were very learned, witty, urbane people, and that wit really comes through in Così tutte.
And again, I look at these lyrics and think, you know, if this were in English, it would be a little bit, you know, like Hamilton, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's very contemporary in that regard. It's all about relationships, all about, you know, really contemporary life, contemporary to them at the end of the 18th century, but also contemporary to us here in the 21st century.
Finally, we should mention the performances are the 8th to the 10th. Which should we say anything about the time and place again?
Sure. The performances are at the Hemingway Theater, which is 31 Hemingway, the 8th through the 10th of February at 8 p.m. And then we have an additional performance at the Chalon Performance Center in Rockport on Sunday the 11th at 3.
Thank you both very much, Johnathon Pape and Michaela Wolz.
Thank you.